Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that absolutely nothing around you was made for you. There are no houses, no roads, no supermarkets, no hospitals, no electricity, and definitely no Wi-Fi. There is just the wild world around you. Trees, grasslands, rivers, mountains, and animals that could easily see you as food. For the first humans, this was normal life. Every single day was a challenge. Finding food was a challenge. Finding water was a challenge. Staying warm was a challenge. And simply making it through the night could be a serious achievement. But somehow, generation after generation, our ancestors survived. They learned, adapted, worked together, and slowly changed the world around them. So what was life really like for the first humans? To understand that, we have to go back to a time long before cities, kings, farms, and written history. Millions of years ago, the world looked completely different from the one we know today. There were no countries and no borders. There were no signs telling you where one place ended and another began. Humans lived in small groups and moved through the landscape looking for whatever they needed to survive. They did not wake up and ask, "What job am I going to do today?" Their questions were much simpler, but much more important. Where can we find food? Where is the nearest water? Is this place safe? Where can we sleep tonight? Life was not about comfort. It was about survival. If a group stayed too long in one place and the food disappeared, they had to move. If the weather became dangerous, they had to find shelter. If predators came too close, they had to react quickly. The world was beautiful, but it was also completely unforgiving. Food was probably one of the biggest challenges of everyday life. Early humans did not have farms, refrigerators, or food delivery apps. If they wanted to eat, they had to find something. They gathered fruits, roots, nuts, seeds, insects, and anything else that was safe to eat. They also searched for animals. But hunting was not like what we see in movies. Early humans were not running around with powerful weapons. Their tools were simple. A sharp piece of stone could become a cutting tool. A strong branch could become a weapon. Over time, humans learned how to create better tools, and these tools gave them an advantage. But hunting was still incredibly dangerous. A large animal could easily injure or kill a human. So, early humans had to depend on intelligence, teamwork, and patience. They were not the strongest animals in the environment, but they learned how to think ahead. And this is where one of the biggest advantages of humans began to appear: cooperation. A single human alone was vulnerable, but a group of humans could do much more. They could watch for predators, search for food together, protect children, and share knowledge. Imagine a group moving through a dangerous landscape. One person might notice animal tracks. Another might know where water could be found. Someone else might know which plants were safe to eat. Survival depended on people learning from each other. Knowledge was incredibly valuable. A person who knew how to make a tool, find food, or recognize danger could help the entire group survive. This ability to learn and teach may have been one of the most important reasons humans were able to continue through such a difficult world. Then came fire. We do not know exactly how the first humans discovered how to control it. Maybe they saw a tree burning after lightning struck it. Maybe they found fire after a natural wildfire. At first, fire must have seemed terrifying. But eventually, humans learned to use it. And once they did, life changed forever. Fire gave warmth during cold nights. It gave light after sunset. It could help scare away some predators. But perhaps one of its biggest advantages was cooking. Cooked food was easier to eat and digest. It also allowed humans to get more energy from some foods. Around a fire, something else may have started happening too. People began spending more time together. They could sit in the darkness, share food, communicate, and perhaps tell stories. We cannot know exactly what those early conversations sounded like, but the idea is fascinating. Some of the first human stories may have been told beside a fire thousands and thousands of years ago. Shelter was another major part of survival. Early humans did not have comfortable homes with heating, air conditioning, and soft beds. They had to use whatever the environment offered. Caves could provide protection from wind, rain, and cold. Trees and rock formations could also offer shelter. In some places, humans created simple structures using branches, leaves, grass, and animal skins. These shelters were not perfect, but they could make a huge difference. A small shelter could protect people from harsh weather and give them a safer place to rest. But even caves were not always safe. Other animals wanted shelter too. A cave could already belong to a bear or a large predator. So, finding a place to sleep was not always as simple as walking inside and relaxing. Early humans had to be careful. The night was probably one of the most dangerous times. During the day, people could see what was around them. At night, darkness covered everything. Predators could move silently. Strange sounds could come from the trees or the grass. Without modern lights, the world became almost completely dark once the sun disappeared. Fire helped, but it could not make the entire world safe. This is another reason living in a group was so important. While some people rested, others could stay alert. More eyes meant a better chance of noticing danger. A group could also react more effectively if something attacked. Humans survived not because they were physically stronger than every animal around them, but because they learned how to work together. The human body also had to deal with a constantly changing environment. There were periods of extreme cold, changing landscapes, droughts, and other difficult conditions. Early humans had to adapt to new places and new climates. They used fire to stay warm. They used animal skins for protection. They created better tools and improved their shelters. If the environment changed, they had to change with it. This ability to adapt became one of humanity's greatest strengths. Humans could live in forests, grasslands, mountains, and extremely cold environments. We were not perfectly designed for one specific place. Instead, we learned how to change our behavior and use our intelligence to survive in many different places. But ancient humans were not just focused on eating and staying alive. At some point, they began creating things that were not simply tools. They began making art. They painted images on cave walls. They created symbols. They made decorations and objects that may have had special meaning. Why did they do this? We cannot know for certain. Maybe some of the paintings were connected to beliefs. Maybe they were part of rituals. Maybe they told stories. Or maybe humans simply wanted to create something beautiful. Whatever the reason, these discoveries tell us something very important. Ancient humans were not just mindless survivors. They were thinking, imagining, communicating, and trying to understand the world around them. They also cared for each other. This may be one of the most interesting parts of ancient human life. Archaeological evidence suggests that some ancient humans survived serious injuries that would have made it impossible to live completely alone. That means someone may have helped them. Someone may have shared food with them. Someone may have protected them. Someone may have cared for them while they recovered. This tells us that human survival was not only about strength. It was also about relationships. Humans depended on each other. Families and groups were important. Children needed protection and teaching. Older members of the group may have carried valuable knowledge and experience. Everyone could contribute something. When we think about the first humans, it is easy to imagine them as completely different from us. We picture people living in caves, carrying stone tools, and walking through ancient landscapes. And yes, their lives were very different. But in some ways, they may have been surprisingly familiar. They probably felt fear. They probably felt happiness. They cared about their children. They formed relationships. They experienced loss. They were curious. They looked at the world around them and tried to understand it. They may have looked at the stars at night and wondered what was beyond the sky. In many ways, the first humans were not just surviving. They were beginning the long journey of becoming us. Of course, life was incredibly difficult. There were no doctors to treat serious injuries.